Hello once again, everyone. Welcome to a vlog that I've not done in a while. Vlogging. But as I have literally something to actually vlog about today, uh, it's good. So, if you follow me on Twitter and all that jazz, you follow this channel for months, you'll know that I occasionally write fanfiction, and my last fanfiction was Helicops, and that did amazingly well, and I was incredibly happy for it, and it's had a good run. It took me 4 months to write, and it lasted me 6 months of publishing time, of where I was doing 2 a week from December, well, end of December, start of January, until Monday was the last chapter I put up. The very last chapter. There will be no more Helicops, which is a little sad that I didn't have more, but I'm sort of glad that I one ended it where I did, where I was running out of ideas of villains or crimes to sort of talk about, because that's not an area of knowledge that I have great knowledge in. I've sort of played GTA and stuff, and that's where I've sort of based it all off of, or some. I've not really read many murder mystery novels apart from the Coroner John series and the detective novels of like the Hardy Boys and Famous Five and Magnificent Seven or whatever they're called from my childhood. But that was a good couple of years ago when I read them. So I was like, it was basically pushing myself to do something that was slightly well out of my comfort zone, but I thought it was a really cool idea, and it's a big, massive vlog, or three. I've actually done 3 parts of the vlog talking about Helicops, and they're actually pretty popular videos, along with my Honor-bound ones, where I talk about Honor-bound, and I'm amazingly proud that they are some of my more popular videos of doing something that I absolutely love, and I've discovered that I've loved it and love doing it, so it's probably what I'm going to try and base my future career around, in both games design, of writing the stories of the games, and potentially it's something that I've always thought I might want to do, is become an author. And by writing these fan fiction type stuff, it gives me a good basis and good practice of doing this stuff, and I've tried unsuccessfully, and I've always wanted to go back to it. I wanted to go back to it this summer, but it's gonna take an incredible amount of effort to do it. I once tried to write a book a couple of years back, and it's one of the things I talked about in my interview to get into Stafford, was me writing this book, and I've been doing that for 2 years at that point. It's been another 2 years of me being at uni, where I picked it up, put it down, looked at it more, and it's got pretty much not that much further along than it was. But in the meantime, I've wrote 2 fanfictions, one of which I wasn't sure how successful I was, just because I put it on Tumblr and it didn't give me view count. I'm not sure a few people read it, and I enjoyed writing it, even though I made some mistakes in it, and I've learnt from the mistakes and put that into Helicops, where it was much better, I felt, written wise, and I was much more confident in writing it, and it was much more, well, less fanfiction-y, more, I don't know what to call it, but basically Honeybound was me just fangirling about, well, having a bunch of YouTubers, and in Helicops it was just Terry Turner as a YouTuber who wasn't a YouTuber anymore, as Fanfiction goes, and it was based off one of his YouTube videos, and I turned that into a fanfiction. And the reason I'm talking about this today is because today I'm pleased to announce my next fiction, as it's not proper fanfiction at all. It's an idea that I had back when I did Honor Bound was I wanted to do a sequel to Honor Bound. I thought I could write a potential sequel to this. I completely and utterly changed my idea of what sequel I wanted to do since events in my personal life changed. It was going to be slightly different. It was going to be me fighting to get out of the island sort of thing and working my way back to the friend I had at the time who inspired Honor Bound, which was Summer. But now it's going to be completely, entirely different. It's going to be absolutely fiction. The only real part of it is the character that is described, which is my character, which is based off of myself and is a form of myself as I like to see myself, as a chivalrous knight sort of guy. I feel like that sort of portrays a characteristic of me, and it's basically how I sort of see myself in life, sort of thing, of being a force of good, trying to help people, e.g. my friends and family and stuff like that. But it's that, and I've said that I want to get back into writing, but I have so many other things that I want to do at the same time. And this week I've sort of took a complete and utter break from writing, but I do have a couple of chapters in that I've written, and I'm going to try and get back into writing eventually. It's difficult because I've got so much what I want to do. It's sort of managing my time to do all the things I want to do. Hopefully it'll be a little better when I get back to uni, because when I was doing Helicups I could manage to write a chapter a day because of my time schedule of waking up and going to bed. I had plenty of time to fill, whereas my bedtime is not 1-2 o'clock in the morning, it's 9 or 10 o'clock at night, so it takes away 4 hours of potential time I could use, and which I would like to use. So I was sort of, when I started writing this, I was alternating between writing and doing Minecraft. So it was one day writing, one day playing Minecraft, which I was just doing because I love playing Minecraft and I want to get this build that I'm working on finished. And I sort of limited myself of doing that by seeing someone else's build and thinking, my god, this is incredible. I'm going to help with this as much as I can. So whenever that said person is on, I go off and try and help them do whatever, and that takes me away for a couple of hours or whatever from my build. But it gets a bit boring. Of my build at the moment is just the digging stage, and I'm taking a completely tangent from the thing I want to talk about, which is the new fact fiction. It's going to be called The Knight of Chivalry. It's set loosely. It's set in the same world that Honor Bound was left off in, the fictional island of medieval period, and you in Honor Bound you see the tip of the iceberg of that world that I can create because I can see it. I live it. I lived it a year ago when I was writing Honor Bound, and I went beyond that and way beyond that. But I didn't even mention any of it in Honor Bound, and now I'm getting to sort of think of what is it? What is this world? Where is it? What places are there in it? What characters are in it? And just me, there's a lot of characters to come. I done a plan for it and discovered that I've got about 60 characters, I think, is gonna pop up eventually, and that's the characters that I'm planning to write about. I've already introduced 6 or 7 different characters that I had no idea I was planning to write, but I brought them in to flesh out the main story of, well, we need a guy who's gonna be the face of the enemy. or the face of this army. We need a guy who's a leader. We need this guy and this guy and this guy, and to knit the story together. And in the story terms, I'm trying to do a similar thing which I was doing in Helicops, where I'm aiming for about 1,000 words per chapter to give myself a good amount of words to sort of describe the story. I felt in Honobound I didn't have enough words. I was cutting chapters short, or well, I didn't really have any sort of idea of how many words I went to write. But some chapters I felt were too short, and some chapters I thought were just filler chapters, and I didn't want that. In Helicops, I felt that the main storylines, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 storylines, but an overall arcing storyline of getting myself from point A to point B was very interesting. But I need a sort of, in Knight of Chivalry, I'm taking point A to point B a lot more seriously, as it's just one sort of storyline of my character going from this, the starting point, to where I'll be at the end point of. I've got no idea what the end point is. I have a feeling I know, but I can do pretty much anything for the end point. I've got these few events in between which I want to cover, but I've left myself open to what I really desire to do, which is create this fully functioning world of awesomeness, and hopefully I'll be able to write this awesomeness into fruition. Now, I've already had some awesomeness happen, which I'm very happy about, and I keep trying to do that, and it's basically based off of my innumerable reading of, you can see behind me a bookcase full of books. A bunch of them are where this whole world, I imagine, is fantasy, and I love fantasy books, I love fantasy games, I love fantasy films. I absorb this every single day of my life. I live it. I love it. It's something that I know incredibly amount. I can create a crazy amount of characters and stuff based in this. I also love the medieval time period, which is where this is going to be set. So I can pretty much create something that will be awesome. And I'm taking everything that I know knowledge-wise from books to the time I study history. I'm putting it into this fan fiction. I'm also going to be taking several different references from the likes of Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, throwing them in like I did in Honobound, where I threw in plenty of references, but they're going to be more subtle this time rather than so in-your-face references of, oh yeah, if we had wands we could apparate, if we had dragons we can fly, sort of thing, which I used it on Honobound quite a bit of the discussion between some characters and stuff like that. I'm gonna be slightly more subtle in that, but I'm still gonna have some nods. Like, I've still got the character which I introduced in Honobound, who basically has a different name but looks like Felicia Day. And that's not a spoiler, because you already know about this character from Honobound, and you're gonna be like that. But because my fanbase and Twitter followers has grown from, I was around 100 when I wrote Honobound. I'm now at 230. Some of you will have no idea what Honobound is. So for the first chapter, which will be up soon after this video, well, before this video, but it's going to be up, I've sort of re-summarized what happened in Honobound. It's not the full story, there's stuff that I've missed out, but it's the basics of it. Honobound is on my Wattpad right now. You can read it from start to finish, including an additional epilogue which I added on there, which some of these people might have noticed if they went and read it. If they didn't, but that basically just ends any possibility of me going back to Summer, which is what I wanted to do when I realised where I wanted to take the story, sort of thing. I wanted her character to have a sort of happy ending. and be absolutely resolved, sort of thing, and resolve some of the other characters of what it didn't really need it, but you know what happened to them, sort of thing. So that's all good, and you can read that if you wanted to know what happened in Ironbound. But this is the Knight of Chivalry, so you don't really need to know what really happened in Ironbound. Just the basics, which I covered at the start of the story, because it's a completely new story based around my character and his adventures in this world. And I will be releasing a chapter at the moment once a week, because that's all I can do from the amount of chapters I've got so far. If I write more chapters and get to the point where I'm 40 chapters ahead, I'll probably do the same thing I did with Helicops, where I'll do 2 a week, and that'll be Monday to Friday. Monday and Friday, not Monday to Friday, but it'll be just Friday at the moment. Where I feel that that's a good time to release a chapter, because it's just before the weekend, so you'll have the weekend to read and enjoy a chapter. So hopefully you've enjoyed this ramble on of it. I'll be trying to write more in the coming weeks, and I've got no idea how long this will take me to finish writing, but safe to say it's gonna take 4 or 5 months like my previous fanfictions. That's how long it took to write them. It might potentially be even bigger than them. Hopefully, I don't know. It seems to always go bigger and better in every iteration of thing I've done. So, well, the first thing was really big, and it was too big. Then Honorbound was small, but it was still big. Then Helicops was just double the size of Honorbound. Now this, hopefully, will be roughly the same size as Helicops, but it could be bigger. I have no idea. It'll work out how it work out, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Hopefully you will appreciate that I've spent some time today working on the cover art for it, and it's basically the best cover art I've done. I did some work on it and tried my best with my limited art skills to make a good cover. Whether it work out for Wattpad, I don't know, but it'll be published on Wattpad. That's all I've got to say. Now, if you've noticed, I've not been making videos this week, even though I've been here. I'll be talking about that fully later on, when I think I'm going to start recording again tomorrow. So today's Friday, tomorrow Saturday I'll start recording again in it. I Am Alive. I just needed a break from that this week, so because of something that I displayed in my last I Am Alive video of that happening. That's not sort of taking me away from it. I've sort of exited recording mode to just deal with that, and that's no better than it was then. It's just that I'm now in a place where I was a bit down them first couple of days. Now I've put myself back up. I'm positive again, so I feel like I can record. I do have a shit ton of ideas of what I want to talk about. Starting tomorrow, I want to talk about something that's really relatable to me right now, and then probably have a good spiel on Lord of the Rings, because I rewatched them films recently, so you can look forward to a spiel on Lord of the Rings at some point in one episode, either the first episode or the second episode. I'm gonna re-record, or record anyway. Depends on how long I talk about the subject I wanted to talk about, and like that. But videos will be coming back for a few days at least, until, because I'm going to my dad's next week, and that I'll be at my dad's for 5 days, so videos will stop at that point, and then we return after I come back from my dad's day, which will be Tuesday. I come back, so you could say maybe Wednesday or Thursday, depends on. Wait, no, probably Thursday, because I'll have to catch up with YouTube. So yeah, that's all my spiel I could talk about. So you'll get a nice 20 minutes of my FaceTime, and I'll see you guys next time.